God gave us all free will, you know, and that's the most beautiful gift he can give us. So we have a choice every single day. Just like I say, to love is a decision. To forgive is a decision. To show up in your day is like, and do the hard things is a decision. You park your little feelings and emotions aside, okay? You do the hard things. And, we're entering the season of Lent. And I want you to use your community to keep you accountable, whether that's a friend, whether whoever it is, but choose to do some difficult things. And there's something amazing about that. Like it gives you such confidence, in your abilities. Like you can do it. Is it going to be easy? No, it's not. But the best, like, it's the best thing you can do for yourself. And it's going to be hard. I have a few ideas, about what I'm going to do for Lent. And I want you to take this time to start preparing as well. Like, what are you going to do for the 40 days? What are you going to add into your routine or take out? One of the things I'm going to add is more prayer, reading more scripture, and allowing my mind to get filled with that. But there's emptying of the mind first, and the emptying is like getting, like I said, get rid of that social media, that garbage. Give your mind space. Allow your mind to think. Like there's, like I say, that's the noise, that's the overload. Like be honest with yourself and be disciplined. I mean, that's where the word disciple comes from, is that they gave up everything and they followed God. They followed Jesus, and that took a lot of sacrifice. And we're asking you to do that as well. And I think that's what we all have to do. So we need to empty the mind first, get the space, then fill it up with the good information. Dishonesty, disrespectful, discrimination, detached, dismissive. That's it. I'm done. Relationships can be messy. Are you having trouble with your personal or professional relationship? Not to worry. As a relationship therapist and coach for over 25 years, I have a lot to share. And so will my guest experts. Let's get smarter in our business and personal lives so we can be our best selves. Now, let's get on with the show. Welcome back, everyone. Today, it's me alone, and we're going to talk about discipline. But I gotta give you a little bit of a backdrop. I was not supposed to record a session today. Today was reserved for me interviewing two different guests, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that under the framework of discipline. So I hesitated, whether or not I should record today because I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm angry. And I'm angry because I feel so many people out there now lack discipline. And I have a lot to say about the word discipline, and it will be a topic of my next book because I see it in so many different aspects of life. I see it being the root cause of a lot of unhappiness. And you might think, wait a minute, if like discipline is hard, it's hard work. So how does that relate to happiness? Let me tell you, it relates 100% to happiness because discipline gives you structure and discipline gives you a lot of freedom. So this is how my day woke up. I mean, this is how I woke up today. Okay, yeah. Let me go into my structure. I think most of you that have been listening to me probably know my routine in the morning. I wake up, and the first thing I say is thank you, God, for this day to myself. And then I get out of bed. And I really don't have a whole lot of thoughts at all after that. Like, I mean, I know some people lay in bed and worry about their day. They think about, all the things that's going to or that they need to get done or, whatever that might be. Like that is such a waste of time. Like why are you doing that? Just thank God for the day. Get up and I don't have an alarm clock. I usually wake up anytime between 4:30 and 5:30 and I was happy to see that it was 4:40 or something like that because I don't like it when I see 5:30 because I feel like I've missed an hour of my day. So anyway, and I'm rested. Like I'm not tired. But then I go down and I honestly I think like that you might think I'm insane, but like as I walk down the stairs, I'm thinking, thank you to be able to walk. Thank you for movement. When I'm making my coffee, which I do first thing in the morning, no, like and I'm not drinking like a huge glass of water with lemon to balance the pH of my gut or whatever that is. Yes, by drinking coffee in the morning, I realize I might be spiking my cortisol and causing like a whatever an insulin spike and like oh my gosh. I'm gonna get into this about the noise. But yeah, I love my coffee. I think it is a ritual. It is a ritual. Coffee is a ritual. Like, if you don't know that, some, there's many cultures that it's part of a very deeply rooted ritual. And I love it. I'm not changing it anytime soon. Then I go into my little quiet space and I light my candle and I thank God for the darkness and the silence and just do my prayers in the morning. And so I guess my point is that was it always easy for me to do that? No, it took like intentional work of, I guess, opening my eyes up to reality and just saying, it's a gift to have a day. It's not a burden to have a day. And I have the choice to make this day however I want it to be every single day. And yeah, that probably requires discipline. So, anyway, as I was about to begin my day, I checked my email. And there's nothing, that I need to really know about. I do my little workout, 20 minutes stretching, probably 20 minutes some resistance work in my garage. And then I am preparing for the interview. And and like a reminder goes out for all my Calendly appointments, which includes my podcast interviews. And so 15 minutes before the reminder, like you're gonna for me, I'm gonna be interviewing somebody, and for the guests, it's sort of like your interview is coming up, and I get an email back shortly after that with the guest saying, "Sorry, I'm just not feeling well." And this guest is in the UK, which means it's about 2 p.m. their time. And I'm kind of going, wait a minute here. Like, I have empathy. Sickness happens. I'm a compassionate person. Life happens. I get it. But are you honestly going to tell me approximately 10 minutes before I'm supposed to interview you that you're not feeling well? Really? Okay. So that's how my day began. And obviously, my time I would like to think is valuable as well. I did not do certain things this morning. I usually go to 7:40 a.m. mass, daily mass. I did not go to mass this morning because I had this interview. Okay, so it is. Um, but I mean, my whole day is turned upside down. Like, obviously, this affects me because I put aside an hour and a half for these interviews. Okay, so it is. And I mean, I just see it everywhere, though. This lack of commitment and this lack of discipline. And of course, mainly in the work that I do, right? And often I question, why am I a therapist? Because I don't have a lot of I'm not a person to validate feelings. I mean, I think I'm able to see um like okay, when it's very genuine. Like even today, I would have loved to have this therapist on, speed dial and just rant in front of the therapist and just say this is and this is why I'm upset. This is why I feel anger right now. And how do I best process that anger? Well, luckily, because I'm a therapist, I can kind of figure it out myself. But you know what? I did call my husband and I like 4 or 5 minutes of tops, maybe it was 2 minutes, and just saying to him, I am so tired of people breaking their commitments. Like, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the excuses. And he listened, and that was it. Perfect. I didn't need him to talk to me about, well, maybe you need to send like a reminder 2 hours ahead of time. Or maybe like if he would have said that, I would have probably thrown the phone across the room. But he didn't. He just said, I know. Like, that's crazy. Perfect. Thank you, Jeff. Now, then I was fine. And I wanted to do a solo podcast on this topic anyway. So I thought I'm going to use the adrenaline inside me now. And, I'll do this recording right now because A, I have the time, and B, it's so much on my mind. And so we don't all have those people in our lives to talk to about our days, talk to about our frustrations, but it is very important. And I'm going to really have you try to find that person. I want you to try to find that person. A lot of people, it's their friend. It could be a sister. It could be an aunt. It could be a priest. It could, but priests are very busy. That's the problem. It's anybody that just honestly gives you an ear. But just be careful in terms of asking that person for advice, because that's another thing that friends, I know they have very good intentions, but can often give you poor advice. So seeking somebody, in the professional field would probably be better. That's a little bit more distant from you than, let's say, a mother, a grandmother, a sister, right? Who doesn't want to see you hurt. That's the other thing. A therapist that tells you the truth and brings you into reality. Because let's be honest, like when I went onto Instagram, I regretted it right away because I just thought, my goodness, the noise, the noise, the noise. Like, I guess because of the algorithms, because I'm a therapist myself, like I was being sent like sort of relationship reels when I opened up Instagram. And I couldn't believe it. Like in the span of probably about 1 minute, maybe 1 to 1.5 minutes of scrolling, I had three different quote unquote experts giving advice, and all the advice was different. So, right there, this is why you need to stop looking at social media to give you some sort of insight to your life and why things are hard or why you're failing at this or whatever. The first one was I don't know who this guy is, but I'm guessing he's some big influencer of men. But he was interviewing this woman and they were talking about relationships. And I'm okay, I'm seeing this a lot, and I've also made a episode on this, but like how there's so many women out there now that seem to be pitting against other women in the sense of, you're not giving your husband enough respect. You're not, like her words, this one woman's words, the woman that was being interviewed by this man who obviously is a supporter of men's health, which is great. We do need that. But, she's saying, she's basically saying you need to call your husband a prince and stop pointing out all his faults and his weaknesses. Okay, right, obviously, but that's mutual. What if he is pointing out all your weaknesses and faults as well? Like nothing's one-sided in a relationship, and I just feel like now we have this movement of women like kind of, in a kind of a contemptuous way against other women, saying you're doing it all wrong and you need to sort of bow down to your husband. And it's always one-sided, So there's that video. And then the next reel that came up was I've seen a lot of this woman's, I don't know, it's just coming out of my feed, but she's talking all about empowering women and, I'm going to give you your voice back, and this is why, your marriage is failing, and also videos on why basically you need to leave this relationship because your kids are seeing, you and your husband not working well together, and that's going to strongly influence their future relationships, and you shouldn't expose them to all this, and you're doing your kids a favor by pulling out of the marriage, and it's just like such BS. It's terrible. And then the third one was probably the best one. I don't know. Again, I don't know who this woman is, but like she was giving decent advice, but it was like every single one of her reels was sort of like, you know, these are the 8 things you need to do in your relationship. And here's the 5 top things that, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And it's all like, oh my gosh. Like I can just imagine if a woman is suffering with her relationship right now, and she opens up Instagram and she gets all this fed to her before even her day begins. I wouldn't even know which way to turn next. Like, should I be calling my husband an asshole or should I be calling him a prince? Like I don't know what to do. So am I feeling, is this all my fault or does he also have to take responsibility in this at all? It's just, it's awful. It's awful. Like I don't, I would tell, I would have no problem telling all of you right now to get off Instagram, get off of Facebook. I love YouTube because I don't know, it's sort of like it does give me the videos that I'm actually interested in. It works better that way. And I subscribe to premium. I don't get ads, I don't get stuff I don't want to see typically. But I'm telling you at the beginning of this episode that this is all about discipline, but that's discipline as well. Like just say no to it. And you got to realize all that noise, it's basically throwing a bomb in your head. Like it's scattering all your thoughts. Sorry, I didn't. Let's get rid of that. It's taking whatever order you have in your head, like your thoughts, like structure, and it's causing it all your thoughts just to scatter like a snow globe. That is what social media is doing to your brain. It's taking you in all different directions. Nothing is ordered in your mind anymore. And it's very important for your thoughts to be ordered. In fact, a sign of trauma, I see this all the time in my clients. If they're if they want to process that memory and get rid of, well, you never get rid of the trauma, but like be able to live a life where you're not constantly triggered by other people, for example, because of your past trauma, is to make sense of that memory. People who are suffering deep from trauma are, when they recall the trauma or they try to tell me more about it, it's very sporadic. Like it's just like bits and pieces of whatever that memory was, coming up for them. And it's sort of like there's a lot of pauses, as they're trying to recall the trauma and telling me the trauma, and it's because they're not, they haven't been able to allow those those feelings, whatever they are, to pass through them yet. So the goal of that work then is to have them provide me the memory in a narrative form that has a beginning of the story, an end of the story, the timeline. Why does it begin here? Why did you end the story here? All that is very insightful. And then, how the story evolved, like the midsection of the story. It's like, writing an essay when you're learning how to write. I mean, there has to be a beginning and end in the middle, and it has to be very clear. And so, success, in treating someone like that is for them to be able to tell me it in story form. That means that they've been able to think through all the feelings and not have that live bound up inside them anymore. So I'm saying this again because your mind is the same way. It loves order. And the hierarchy, like, okay, for me, because I have a strong faith, is God is always the center of that. He's always the anchor. He's the hub of the wheel. And the more I go from that center, the more fractionated my thoughts become because they're now on the periphery of the wheel. And that's where all the emotions and the feelings lie. Our decisions, our behaviors, our intentions are what causes the feelings. It shouldn't be our feelings causing our behaviors. And like today, the guest canceled sickness. Okay. But I question like the notification time that he gave me for that. Let's be honest. But for a lot of people, they wake up, as I mentioned this morning, I wake up and I'm full of gratitude. And I'm not better than you. Okay. Like I never want to come off as somebody that's like, I'm privileged, to be honest, that I'm born in the family that I am, in the country that I am. Uh, I'm very privileged in many, many ways. And I I realize that. Maybe people are waking up wondering, how am I going to get my next meal? Or how am I going to keep my family safe in this war-stricken country? I get it. But you know what? I think those people are waking up in gratitude in many ways as well. And that's what allows them to move through each day, get through each day. So that's ordered thinking because I'm giving thanks to a God and I'm not waking up going, I'm tired, I'm stressed, I'm anxious, and I need to call my boss and tell them I can't, I need a sick day, I need a mental health day. In fact, I think I should just take this whole week off. I just don't feel emotionally safe right now. I kind of hate that term, to be honest with you. Emotional safety is very different from emotional connection. Okay? Okay, I won't get into that, but anyway, today my husband was able to emotionally connect with me. It's never a, a problem of emotional safety. All you need from your partner, your spouse, is to connect with them emotionally. Okay, he connected with me emotionally on my level. Safety implies that you're going to be harmed, you're going to be broken, you're going to be, there's some sort of abuse, and that's not the case for so many of my couples. It's not. I'm sorry. There's like there are a few couples that I've worked with that have that there's been sexual or physical abuse. I think let's all be adults. Like no one listening to this episode like should be thinking that that's okay, right? We're not talking about that. I'm talking about most common marriages that are falling apart right now because they're allowing their emotions to drive their behavior instead of their behavior to drive their emotions, or the behavior resulting in emotions, which means intentional behavior, behavior that's well thought out. So God gave us all free will, you know, and that's the most beautiful gift he can give us. So we have a choice every single day. Just like I say, to love is a decision. To forgive is a decision. To show up in your day is like, and do the hard things is a decision. You park your little feelings and emotions aside, okay? You do the hard things. And, we're entering the season of Lent. And I want you to I think it begins Wednesday, February, I don't know, 15th, 16th, 17th, somewhere around there. But it's coming up. And I, I want you to think long and hard about it. Like, use your community to keep you accountable, whether that's a friend, whether whoever it is, but choose to do some difficult things. And there's something amazing about that. Like, it gives you such confidence, in your abilities. Like, you can do it. Is it going to be easy? No, it's not. But the best, like, it's the best thing you can do for yourself. And it's going to be hard. I have a few ideas, about what I'm going to do for Lent. And I want you to take this time to start preparing as well. Like, what are you going to do for the 40 days? What are you going to add into your routine or take out? And I think we need to, one of the things I'm going to add is more prayer, reading more scripture, and allowing my mind to get filled with that. But there's emptying of the mind first, and the emptying is like getting, like I said, get rid of that social media, that garbage. Give your mind space, allow your mind to think. Like, there's, like I say, that's the noise, that's the overload. Like, be honest with yourself and be disciplined. I mean, that's where the word disciple comes from, is that they gave up everything and they followed God. They followed Jesus, and that took a lot of sacrifice. And we're asking you to do that as well. And I think that's what we all have to do. So we need to empty the mind first, get the space, then fill it up with the good information. There's the Bible is the most read book there is. And the truth of that is, well, the reason it is because it can contain so much truth, so much wisdom, so much intelligence weaved in. It could be one line that has so much insight and intelligence in it that we need to draw from. The church fathers, for example, the saints, what they wrote about. Like, it's so important to fill our hearts and our minds with that instead of Instagram reels. And by doing that, you're going to get the strength to fulfill whatever discipline you chose and the encouragement. And then start behaving, in a way that's going to lift you up instead of put you down, which means making the good choices in life, going to bed early, waking up early, getting your body moving, right? Choosing foods that are nutritional. Like the other day too, the food noise. I mean, everybody talks about the food noise, but it's so simple. Like, it's so simple. I think one of the things I am going to try, because I think part of the Lent, it should be removing, like, food is such an important area of our lives that bring us joy. And I think what makes me so sad is how the food industry has, reduced that to a calorie, to a science equation, macros, and you're either blaming everything on plants and how they're dangerous for us, or you're blaming everything on saturated fat and meat and how that's the problem, or you're blaming everything on the microbiome. And, unfortunately, you're the one that has the microbiome that has all the bad bacteria that's unfortunately allowing you to stay obese all your life. And therefore, it's just the role of the genetics, and you just got the bad dice and you're just gonna have to live with that, sort of thing. It's like, please stop it. Stop the noise. It's very simple. Do not snack. Have 3 square meals a day. And when you're having your meals, enjoy them. Let the sweet taste of fruit or, you know, sweet vegetables like red peppers and sweet potato and carrots or whatever those vegetables might be, like taste the sweetness in those. Like, I'm not saying get rid of the sugar. Like, we do need to enjoy that as well, but just everything in moderation. It makes me sad to think that people are viewing their meals with or like with a scale beside them, weighing it out in grams, or making sure they're getting their macros. It's just like, oh my gosh, like, just, yeah, it will be hard for you if you grew up in a home where the behavior was full of, consumerism, eating whatever I want, whenever I want, not having whole foods as part of you know, your parents' like meals. Sure, it's going to be harder for you. Like, but it doesn't mean that that's what your destiny is going to be. It's called making a choice. It's called discipline. And don't tell me it's anything else, because it's not. Like, why didn't we see these problems in the 1400s or, you know, or 900? Like, I I don't get it, because it would have been written about. It would have been. And if you're listening to this and you can pull up something for me where it is written, let me know about it. I know there's psychological conditions that were written about, but I don't remember anybody talking about how they need or they're binging on raisins or figs or honey. Haven't seen that written anywhere, because the problem now is just abundance. Like, let's be honest, everywhere we go, someone wants to sell us something. And that's where, like, all these, like, that lies in all that Instagram reels and Facebook, videos as well too. They're all trying to sell you something. Like, even now, like, I mean, I think there's something called the biblical diet. Like, are you kidding me? Like, join my course on the biblical diet. There's always like something, that you're that's being marketed to you. So use your discernment. Like, that's what people are missing right now. Like, this exercise of discernment. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look up Saint Ignatius of Loyola exercises in discernment. It's like that clears all the noise away. And everybody needs to practice that, to step away from their feelings and their emotions and look at the objective truth. Like, sometimes I honestly want to slap people back into reality, like, because you're so far away from reality. Like, and that's what I mean. They're so far from the hub of the wheel. They're so much on the periphery that they cannot see the truth. And that's what God is. He's truth, and he's love. And he's always going to bring you back to reality in a compassionate way, but you just need to ask for it. And I'm not saying you need to be Christian or belong to a certain religious sector to do the right thing. But having God in the center of your life makes things so much easier, right? Because our flesh is weak, meaning that if we rely on these other cognitive, what's the word? I can't think of it right now, but like other areas of our mind, like memory, like imagination, desires, like if we rely on that rather than our will and our be able our reasoning. But that's the thing, like our imagination, our memory can all get skewed. They can, because negative thoughts, like more of the evil thoughts, can get anchored in those. It's sort of like your memory can get skewed. You begin to imagine what life might become and you become anxious. Your reasoning can falter if you don't have faith as the root, if it's not deeply rooted in the truth. You will lose your sense of reality. So, hi, doggy. My dog just walked in. So, I hope like that helps a little. I don't know if that helped at all. Like, I hope my thoughts weren't too scattered, but if I were to sum it up, I want everyone to become much more disciplined in their lives. And it starts with you. Like, stop blaming other people for the situation you're in. Stop blaming your spouse. Stop blaming culture. You know, stop blaming the weather. Like, honestly, do you think, what if farmers, responded to life like that? It's sort of like, can't, I'm just going to give up on sowing the seed because, you know, last year the weather didn't cooperate, or, we're probably going to have a drought this summer, or prices of seed or fertilizer or pesticides or insecticides are going up, or I don't know. It's sort of like if we led our lives according to our emotions, like just how the weather is, like give up. It's not going to work. You need to be prudent. You need perseverance. You need a lot of patience when you sow that seed. You need a lot of trust. And actually, today's gospel, as I'm recording this, it's Wednesday, January 28th, and I do need to run. So this will be the last thing I say. I think it was Mark's gospel, and it was the story of this, the seed, where the parable of the seed and the sower. The seed that falls on rocky ground isn't able to establish that root, which is faith. The seed that falls upon a thorny ground is, to me, the seed where, you are addicted to your phone and reels and short video clips. And that to me is noise that's choking you out of reality. But the seed that falls on fertile ground is the seed that can take root and give you structure. You remember what I said about trauma? They don't have structure. It's just pieces and parts. And so we need a strong, strong foundation. And that's rooted in faith very often, uh, and to be part of a community. So it's reality. you know, a strong root is being able to see the truth for what it is and being a part of reality. And I hope you are somebody who wants to join reality very soon and become disciplines, become disciples, and change your life. Whether that's your relationship with food, whether that's your ability to commit to a long-term relationship, whether that's your work ethic, whether that's like saying no once and for all to distraction instead of telling yourself you have ADHD. It's amazing. I've never I realize it is a condition, and I'm not going to get into it, but it's amazing to me how certain people that have ADHD, when they become interested in one thing that they're passionate about, they have no problem with focus. So that always kind of perplexed me there too. Anyway, I will leave you go. Thanks for listening as always. And I will see you next week. So let me know how you feel. Let me know if you're struggling. Let me know if this resonated with you. I would love to hear from you. Okay. And that course that I have, the course in conjugal love, what I like about that course is it's very affordable, and you and your partner get to do that, your spouse, at home, together, shutting off all the other noise. It's very accessible. It's very easy. It covers, the most topics that couples struggle with in a relationship, and very accessible. So watch the videos together instead of sitting in different rooms on your devices and watching reels that are very unhelpful. Okay. Take care. Have a good week. Thanks for tuning in to this episode. Remember that you can watch the full episode on YouTube, where I plan to hang out the most. Your feedback and suggestions for future guests are incredibly valuable to me, so please don't hesitate to post a comment. You are an integral part of this journey.